What if Order 66 was deleted or just removed during the Clone Wars, or at least at the end of it? How would the dynamic between the clones change with the Jedi when Order 66 is executed? Would it still go as planned? Would it go differently? Would Palpatine still emerge victorious in the end? It's a path I want to explore, and it's a path I've considered for a long time, so I'm actually really happy with where this story went. I think it was at least well done for the most part, so please let me know your thoughts. Let me know in the comments, what do you think of this one? What do you think will happen? Are you happy with it? Thank you for watching. If you do enjoy, I have a playlist just full of these what-ifs, these Star Wars fan fictions, so I've really enjoyed making them. Thanks for stopping by. I haven't really given my thanks in a lot of them, so I really do appreciate it. You can check out all the other ones. I think they're fun, and yeah, thanks a lot, everybody. So let's get into today's video. What if Order 66 was deleted during the Clone Wars? Obi-Wan, Mace Windu, and Yoda sat together in an LAAT transport as they went to drop Yoda off for his mission to Kashyyyk. After they finished discussing Anakin and his thoughts on his new assignment to spy on the Chancellor, Mace Windu looked to Yoda. It was clear that Yoda was troubled and had something other than Kashyyyk on his mind. The three sat in silence, allowing Yoda to think, and after a moment, Yoda lifted his head. In a troubled voice, he declared Master Saesee Tiin must be called to Kashyyyk instead of him. He, like Windu, sensed a new plot to destroy the Jedi and would be taking off to Kamino on an off-the-record trip. Only Kenobi and Windu were to know about this. And so, Master Tiin was sent to Kashyyyk as Yoda took his personal Jedi starship to Kamino. At the same time, Ki-Adi-Mundi continued his assault on Megiddo. Kenobi was sent to Utapau, Plo Koon on Cato Nemoidia, and the Jedi were still spread thin, now even more so with Tiin going to Kashyyyk and Yoda to Kamino. And as Yoda landed on Kamino, he had one thing to check out. He remembered Shaak Ti's report of the inhibitor chips on Kamino months ago. The clone Fives had said, "The inhibitor chip drove Tup insane. They must be removed, or the entire Republic army could be compromised." The war had gotten in the way of more investigation, but the war was set to end soon, with Kenobi engaging Grievous. Yoda now felt he had a duty to the Republic to ensure that the clone army is not compromised. These chips needed an extra look. But Yoda did not trust the Kaminoans. They were extremely secretive through the years, so Yoda instead chose to sneak in, flying his ship to the water, jumping onto an Awa, and sneaking in through a door on the bottom level. Using his small stature, Yoda let the Force guide him to the data room, which was securely locked. So instead, Yoda hid in the corner, waiting until a Kaminoan walked by, and he mind-tricked them to open the door and then forget this encounter. Once inside, Yoda searched through secure files of clone trooper DNA until he found Fives. Looking at Fives' file, he looked in even deeper, finding an extra report from clone trooper 7567, who Yoda knew to be one of the most loyal clones, Rex, leader of the 501st under Anakin Skywalker, and formerly Ahsoka Tano. The file was sealed, but Yoda knew Anakin's code to get past it and see a hollow image of Rex, and Yoda watched as Rex said,
"I already know this report's gonna fall on deaf ears, but I owe it to Fives to record what I saw. I'm not sure I believe it myself, but there's a possibility that the inhibitor chips the Kaminoans put inside us have a purpose that we don't yet fully understand."
Yoda sat back, realizing what must be done. The Kaminoans had informed the Jedi that without the chips the clones could die or go insane, but the army was strange from the start. The Kaminoans were strange from the start, and for Rex, a loyal clone, to report this, something had to be weirder than the Jedi knew. Tyrannus even had a hand in it all. And so Yoda accessed a file available to only the Kaminoans, the Chancellor, and at special request, the Grand Master of the Jedi Order. He searched for the chips, and upon finding them, he clicked the deactivate key. It was clear this was supposed to be hidden, but Yoda, one of the only people with access to it, was able to deactivate it. And nothing changed across the galaxy. The clones continued to fight alongside the Jedi against the Separatists. The chips may have had some influence on their will to follow the Jedi, but at this point in the war, they seemingly had an unbreakable bond. And right now, Yoda tried to contact Windu, but for some reason, he was unable to hail Windu on the Jedi Council frequency. On the other side of the galaxy now, Mace Windu held a lightsaber to the face of the Sith Lord, Darth Sidious, next to a broken window. And events played out in a catastrophic way. Windu swung for Palpatine, intending to kill him, but Anakin cut the hand off of Windu and was thrown out the window. Anakin had begun to give himself to the dark side. He was given a new title as Darth Vader, and Darth Sidious instructed him to go to the Jedi Temple to wipe out the Jedi. Only then would he be strong enough in the dark side to truly give himself, to throw away all Jedi ways. Do not hesitate, show no mercy. And Sidious informed Anakin the clones would be joining this assault across the galaxy, and afterward he was to go to Mustafar to kill the Separatist leaders. So Anakin rounded up the 501st Legion, and they began marching up the stairs of the Jedi Temple. They'd been ordered to infiltrate the temple and kill every Jedi. The march was quiet, but Anakin quickly began to feel the immense conflict in the clone troopers behind him. As they marched, Anakin let their conflict seep into his own mind. What am I doing? Anakin thought. It was clear the clones thought the same thing, as Commander Oppo sprinted ahead and told Anakin the clones were stopping. They wouldn't betray their leaders in this way, without clear reasoning. And Anakin, full of conflict, ignited his lightsaber and said that they must go through with this. For Anakin, this mission could mean life or death for Padme. He despised the Jedi for their arrogance and being so stuck in their ways. But as Commander Oppo stood before him, Anakin remembered there were children here, instructors, masters, Padawans, thousands who had nothing to do with the Jedi Council's decisions. And with Anakin's lightsaber ignited, many members of the 501st with no influence of Palpatine lifted their blasters to Anakin. Oppo, in a stone-cold voice, said, "I'm sorry, sir, but the only traitor we see right now is you." In Palpatine's office, he hailed Commander Cody, saying, "The time has come. Execute Order 66. And as he was about to hang up to hail the rest of the Republic Army, Cody said, "Sir, with all due respect, may I ask why?" Palpatine hesitated, fear running down his spine. This wasn't supposed to happen. "Follow orders or be relieved of duty and executed for treason," he said as he hung up. Not good. He would have wanted to elaborate, but he had countless clones to hail this moment. And so he hailed the rest of the galactic army of the Republic, telling them to execute Order 66, as the Jedi had attempted to assassinate him. Around the galaxy, around 1,000 Jedi would die in a swift fashion, as many clones were loyal to the Chancellor before the Jedi. But on Utapau, Cody found his own Varactyl and rode to Obi-Wan, informing him of this grave order he just received. Not nearly enough of them were going to turn for Palpatine to succeed. On Cato Nemoidia, clone troopers locked onto Plo Koon, and then disengaged. Plo had treated them like people, like brothers. They'd been through many battles. They were loyal to Plo and informed him of the order they received. On Felucia, Commander Bly lifted his blaster with the rest of the squad, and they all shot directly at Aayla Secura. Every single clone trooper purposely missed her, shooting past her. They wouldn't kill the Jedi that had been through hell with them and had been as loyal as any clone. And they told Aayla about the order. On Megiddo, clones stopped and took aim at Ki-Adi-Mundi. As he turned around in fear and shock, every clone dropped their weapons, some of them falling to their knees in despair. In hyperspace, Rex never even responded to Palpatine, and instead ran out to Ahsoka to inform her of what was happening. They were en route to Coruscant already. And on the Jedi Temple stairs, Anakin told the clone troopers aiming at him to stand down. They were right. Anakin was the traitor right now. And Anakin informed Commander Oppo that Palpatine was behind everything, behind the war, behind the Separatists. He was the leader of the enemy, and had tricked Anakin into believing the Jedi were evil. If it weren't for the doubt and the loyalty of Oppo and the 501st, Anakin knew that right now he'd be committing acts that would cause him to lose Padme, even if she survived. Oppo gave word to the rest of the 501st on the stairs that Palpatine was the Separatist leader, and they all knew what they were doing was wrong. and without another moment of hesitation, Anakin sprinted up to the council chambers. He instructed the temple guards to lock down the temple, and the 501st Legion spread out to protect it. The temple had never been more secure, and Anakin reached the council chambers where he activated the council frequency. To his surprise, many of the masters responded almost immediately. Obi-Wan with Commander Cody, Plo Koon with Wolf, Yoda on an unknown area, Saesee Tiin on Kashyyyk with Gri, Ki-Adi-Mundi, Stas Ali, and Shaak Ti joined Anakin in the council room as they noticed a few missing. Mace Windu, Kit Fisto, Agen Kolar, and Coleman Kaj were gone. Anakin informed the council of what happened, that Masters Windu, Fisto, and Kolar had gone to arrest Palpatine, as Anakin had discovered that he was the Sith Lord behind the entire war. Murmurs from the Jedi and clones began to grow until Anakin informed them what had happened, that Palpatine had killed the three Masters and then tricked Anakin momentarily into believing the Jedi were evil. Anakin revealed that he was prepared to move on the temple, but just in time, him and the 501st knew this was wrong. The Jedi would have time later to decide on Anakin's actions, but right now they had to act, as Anakin revealed Palpatine had fully expected the clones to act on his orders, and around the galaxy, some of them certainly were. Fellow council member Coleman Kaj had fallen to it, but not nearly enough of the clones had acted for Palpatine to succeed. And then Yoda spoke up, revealing he had just gone to Kamino to investigate the inhibitor chips, and it appeared they were deactivated just in time to allow the clones to decide for themselves if they should follow the Chancellor or if they should follow the Jedi that they'd been to war with. And most chose the Jedi. There was now one clear way to end this war quickly: arrest the Sith Lord. Plo Koon, Ki-Adi-Mundi, Yoda, Stas Ali, Agen Kolar, and Obi-Wan Kenobi jumped into hyperspace, allowing their clone commanders to lead their respective battles. Meanwhile, Anakin and Shaak Ti worked together to prepare the 501st to arrest the Chancellor once and for all. They would need the other Jedi here, as they alone were not nearly powerful enough. Anakin was glad the plan was to arrest him. He still needed to learn from him. And Palpatine sat alone in his office. He had been expecting to let the darkness wash over him as the Jedi Order died. But as he sat here, he felt nothing. Sure, a few hundred Jedi had died across the galaxy, but he now knew something had gone terribly wrong. The clones were supposed to have no choice but to obey. Had their chips decayed so much? Had their bond with the Jedi broken the chips? As Palpatine scrambled to understand what was going on by contacting Separatist commanders, he felt a shift in the Force. He wasn't sure how long he'd been at his desk, but it was clearly hours at this point, and the faint sound of marching could slowly be heard. With a feeling of despair, he looked out his broken window. Grand Master Yoda was next to surviving members of the Jedi Council as they marched to the Senate building to arrest Palpatine, and Ahsoka was with them as well, as she'd returned to Coruscant with Maul imprisoned. Behind the Jedi, thousands of members of the 501st marched alongside them, including Oppo, Rex, and Jesse. The clones knew they wouldn't be needed to arrest the Chancellor, but this march was as much a sign of protest towards the Republic leadership playing both sides. At the entrance, Commander Fox let them inside, and the Jedi, followed by Rex, Fox, Jesse, and Oppo, 10 more clones entered the Chancellor's office to find him scarred, deformed, and confused. Palpatine now knew that his best option was to be arrested and start a civil war for the Republic. He could convince the Senate to side with him, and he would take over from there. He saw Anakin with the Jedi and gave an evil smile, holding out his hands to be arrested. Anakin would still be his. The Jedi were fools, and the Jedi wanted him dead, but they understood he was no threat as of right now. They had to arrest him. But the clones were angry. The clones had watched their brothers die every single day for 3 years. Fives, Heavy, Echo, 99, countless others. And for what? For Palpatine's game? The clones knew they were nothing but tiny pawns to this man, and all of them in the room, looking at each other now. Palpatine was responsible for every single clone death, every clone that had died in their arms. And the clones now understood they must avenge his death. At once, The 14 clones in the room pulled up their blasters and began firing. More clones began pouring in once they understood what was happening. Palpatine sensed it a moment before they fired, igniting his red lightsaber to deflect the first many shots. Fox was clipped with a deflected blast, so were 10 other clones along with Stas Alley. But as countless clones poured in and surrounded the Sith Lord, Palpatine was overwhelmed. There was far too many of them, and he was hit, and then hit again. His leg, his chest, his arm, his other leg. He fell to the ground, dying. And the final thing Palpatine saw as blaster fire rained on him next to the broken window was his rescue. Separatist battleships arrive through hyperspace and quickly leave after seeing the Senate building, where he was located, completely surrounded, with lasers raining into his body. Palpatine died, completely abandoned by Anakin, the clones, and the Separatists. As the clones stopped firing, the smoke cleared to show the broken Sith Lord. Most of the clones removed their helmets, tears rolling down their face as they told the Jedi they would face any punishment necessary for killing an unarmed prisoner. Instead, the Jedi helped up Stas Alley and any clones who had survived the deflected blasts. Then Yoda said there would be no punishment. Palpatine's crimes were beyond reason for execution. And hours later, the Senate was in uproar over what was reported to have happened, until Commander Fox, Captain Rex, Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Grand Master Yoda brought a pod to the center. There, Anakin and Fox gave a detailed explanation of how Palpatine was secretly in control of the Separatists from the start. Anakin had great influence over the Republic. He was, to them, the hero with no fear. He was in control of the war, he was leading them, and for him to now reveal this, along with the clone troopers, they knew it must be true, and they showed the recording of Palpatine using a lightsaber at his death to illustrate that he was a Sith Lord, just like Dooku. And the Senate didn't fully grasp what separated Sith from Jedi, but the support of the clone army made it clear that something was wrong. The clones were loyal to the Chancellor, so in order for them to betray him all at once, something must have gone terribly wrong. And so the Jedi were ruled innocent in all of this. And after it all, Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Plo Koon arrived on Mustafar aboard a prisoner transport. Anakin revealed that Palpatine told him the location of the Separatist leaders, and within minutes, the Separatists were arrested. The war came to a quick ending. Clone troopers were given the choice to go live a new life, with a Republic stipend to get them started, or to remain as a member of the New Republic in security or defense positions. They were extremely loyal to the Jedi, and the new Chancellor was Bail Organa, a strong supporter of the Jedi and the clones. And days later, Yoda sat in his quarters, watching over a recording he had seized from Palpatine's office. He watched Anakin cut down Mace Windu and be given the name Darth Vader. Only Yoda knew about this now, and he remembered how Anakin, in the end, did what was right to save the Republic. Yes, he committed a terrible act, and was partly responsible for the death of one of Yoda's greatest friends, Mace Windu. But Yoda knew the power of the dark side, knew the power of Darth Sidious. He was, at the time, the most powerful being in the galaxy, and the power for Anakin to be able to overcome Sidious's influence, Sidious's power, his promises, for Anakin to overcome it all on the way to the temple, was a power that very few could possess. He was the chosen one, and they'd almost lost him. Instead, Yoda deleted the recording and made his way to a new council meeting. Kelleran Beck, Jaro Tapal, Depa Billaba, and Ser Junda were welcomed to the Jedi Council in this new meeting, and Yoda was prepared to make Anakin a Skywalker a master when Anakin got up to announce he would be leaving the Jedi Order. This was a surprise to many, but Obi-Wan smiled in his seat, as he knew this is what Anakin wanted. This is what would make Anakin happier than anything. And after the meeting, the two of them embraced in a way that they had never before. Obi-Wan told him he was happy, and teased him, almost letting him know that he knew about Padme from the start, congratulating him on being a father. Anakin was no longer a Jedi, but now just a friend to Obi-Wan, to Yoda, Ahsoka, Rex, and the rest. On Naboo, Padme gave a healthy birth, even with the fear of Anakin thinking it may not go well, and Luke and Leia were raised in a happy environment. with Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, Rex, Yoda, and others paying the occasional visit to former Jedi Anakin Skywalker and former Senator Padme Amidala. The Republic was at peace, the Jedi were thriving, and Anakin Skywalker was happier than ever. And that's where we're going to end this story today. Let me know what you thought. I really wanted to go down a path where the clones all just kind of galvanize together, come together to realize that the Jedi are not their enemies. I liked the concept of having them kind of aim at Plo Koon, at Kiadi-Mundi, at Aayla Secura, and in the end not pull the triggers, or just miss her. I wanted to kind of do a parallel to the episode with Pong Krell, where the clones are supposed to execute their fellow clones, and they shoot at them, but miss. I want to do that same thing with Aayla Secura, so I hope you enjoyed. I know that it may be, not true that they can just go deactivate Order 66, but hey, whatever. I had fun with it, so I hope you had fun with it. I hope you enjoyed. Of course, I have a playlist full of these what-ifs, so you can go check those out. Got a lot of other videos, daily videos here on the channel, so please do subscribe. It helps a lot if you do. Thank you all for watching so very much, and I'll see you in the next video.